welcome everyone to another episode of the Tales of the Elbing with Space Daring Do with our fantastic players here. Arowina playing as Esterbeth, Captain Bonti playing as Stag, Finn McCorvus playing Kimu, Lanavar playing Reese, and Grumbles the Dwarf playing Odds. Now, for those of you who are Grumbles the Dwarf fans, I'm going to ping him regularly and get him to sing the We're Going to Need a Bigger Boat song so that you get the authentic experience. But other than that, let us get back into it. We will start with a recap today, starting with Arowina.
So after some timey-wimey bullshit in the drift, we ended up with a bigger ship, yay, in some unknown part of space. We got a emergency... we got an emergency hail from...
Doggy cuddles time. It is hard to do a recap when the inside of your mouth is being licked. Let us move on for the moment to Reese and get back to Arowina.
So, for some reason, we lost a couple of weeks in the drift, and in the process, the ship remade itself almost completely. We now have individual quarters, and even our cat Babu has a jungle gym in the roof of mine, which is very nice. But I feel slightly threatened as well, being a Nisoki. Also, Susanna stated, which is our AI on board, stated that phase 2 was completed, unable to specify phase 3 to 7. And the 7th was listed as something like Eden, but the files were corrupted. When we actually dropped out of drift, we managed to catch up with a cutter of some kind, a local system defense ship, Hestati, under attack by 3 slaver drone ships. Stag, do you want to take over this?
Yep. Yeah, as he said, we got individual quarters, bigger ship. I got my own quarters now, so I can stretch out more. We dropped out of the drift in the middle of a distress call from that defense vessel. Right in the middle between it and these 3, I think there were 2 drones and 1 regular ship. At that time, we went to full battle mode. I found out my nuke missiles are no longer nuke missiles. They are a type of cannon, I believe now. And I also got torpedoes on here now and a few other little things on here. So we had a little space fight, which, well, of course we won. We did take a little damage, but of course we won. Yeah. Otherwise, we rescued 2 people. We rescued 2 or 3. 3, I think. 2 are critical, or 1's critically wounded, and 1 is wounded. We were talking about taking the drow out of stasis, putting in a brig, but the brig doesn't have a door yet. So we suggested to our medical officer to maybe a little tranquilizer for it to keep her kind of in a coma. And we were, because we had 2 of the space pods, and we're going to put these 2 people in it so we can so more or less hopefully save them. And I'll leave the rest over to Arowina. You ready for it now?
I put the dog in timeout. Yeah, so thanks to the flying, of course, we didn't actually take any damage. We got hit in the shields. But yeah, we rescued 2 pods. And I think there were more surviving crew members, and 2 of them were wounded. I can't really remember. But yeah, We are told that there are still slavers on the planet that has several other people. I, for one, think we should go rescue them. What do you think, Kimi?
Definitely think we should go rescue them. Yes, we lost quite a lot of time in the drift, and some scurrilous accusations of cheating go around at our board game. That Arn seems to have acquired some extra software routines that protect him from temporal interference, and everything else has pretty much been covered. Pass it back to our GM.
Very well. Well, have we found somebody?
Earned.
Yes.
Indeed.
We have.
Well, most of the latter action has been described, but there's something very much concerning Arndt, that being the matter of some temporal interference indeed. Arndt was the only entity on the ship of the ship's crew that was unaffected due to a subroutine temporal dampeners running within his systems that he doesn't have any recollection of placing there or beginning or at least triggering. He had a brief encounter with an Ahsoki robot chattering incomprehensibly in the corridor as he went looking for the crew, having found Betty effectively frozen in time at the coffee machine, of course. Yes, and another humanoid, but Arndt wasn't able to scan anything. He had attempted to record data of what was going on during this anomalous time period. However, when playing that back, he discovered only 13 days worth of non-stop footage covering a Twilight Imperium game. So I'm sure that Arndt has footage of everybody who cheated, and if there's anything relating to Arndt having adjusted the parameters of the game during playtime, I'm sure that that information has been redacted. Yes, other than that, I think the other activities have been described, albeit the changes to the ship as well are interesting, intriguing, seemingly beneficial, but we'll see how it unfolds. Over to you, GM.
Yes, indeed. As we ended up the last time I checked, you had just gotten the injured people onto your ship and were planning to... Well, I'm quite uncertain what you were actually planning to do, but you had gotten the injured from the cargo ship and from the LAC system light defense ship over onto your own ship and had a chat with them, and you had taken the drow out of the out of cryostasis, and I do believe we ended fairly quickly after that, if I'm not entirely mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Is this correct, is the question?
I believe so. The drow was removed from cryostasis, but then given heavy sedation to keep them, safe, because we're not quite sure about them yet.
Indeed. So, I am, of course, curious as to what your plan is at the moment.
And
So how many people are there?
You did get 4 people over in total. 2 of them. No, let's 4 plus 4 plus 2, so 10 people in total. 2 of them quite severely injured. If I believe, if I remember that correctly, and I do believe I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
One was a vest.
Yes.
Who was, and I
The vest
forget
was
what
the combat medic and was also quite injured. To the point where that was one of the 2 people you needed to get into cryo. Due to sadly at the wrong time running the autopsy subroutine instead of the first aid subroutine.
They're remarkably similar in my defense.
Of course they are. Just like my crashing and flying. No, wait. I can change between those. But we were on the way to the ready room.
That you were. So, as we start up, you've gotten all the wounded situated at the moment in the mess hall, calming their nerves, and having a cup of strong, hot Earl Grey tea. While the rest of you have gathered in the ready room. Beginning to come down off the adrenaline high of being in one of your first proper space combats where you can actually shoot back and not just get instantly shot down.
Well, last combat, we only fired one missile.
And then we ran away.
Well, that's a second one.
Well, to be fair, if we hadn't run away, we would be dead.
No way our closing weapon systems could keep up with all those missiles coming in.
Yep.
Captain, I would like to petition 2 items relevant to the ship's continuing development. Number 1, I believe we could benefit significantly by additional fairy dice.
No.
Well, number 2, and hear me out on this one, I'd like to suggest a renaming of the ship from the Elbing to the Brave Sir Robin.
I'm not sure Susanna would go for that. But it's a better suggestion than the first.
All right, I'll make a note on the dice and repetition in 6 months' time.
Sounds fair. Hopefully we got a permanent captain by then. And that's not me.
Well, I've been meaning to speak to you all about that. If nobody else wants to take the job, I'd step up and be captain, at least on the tactical level. But I'd need help handling the crew.
I can't take tactical decisions for others and pilot the ship in a dangerous situation, so that's a definite for me.
You can try until proven otherwise. I think you will suffice.
Thank you. It's only a figurehead.
What say you, Sir Stag?
I cannot take command of this ship. I am in dishonor.
Well, not as far as I'm concerned. But as for my vote, I have no particular considerations one way or the other. Kimu, you seem competent and capable at your tasks and seem to have a cool head when we're challenged. One question, though, before I cast my vote. What is your general position on furry dice?
I would leave that question to the pilot. They're very decorative, but if they get in the way, then my vote says no.
All right, so what I'm hearing is the furry dice that are in position won't be removed should you become captain, but subsequent additional furry dice will need to be petitioned to the pilot. All right, you've got my vote.
Indeed. Thank you, Ant.
Well, you being captain, you will not be able to take on a fighter. You have to control the ship.
I'm aware of that, but we have nobody else to step into the position. So my first act as captain is to make Astrobeth first officer.
Hey!
Sorry, somebody needs to handle the crew. And that way, at least occasionally, I can take a fighter out.
Mumbling something in ancient dialect that nobody of you ever heard before.
Actually, that's not true, Captain, because you two are our only qualified pilots for the fighter at this time.
Excuse me. I think you'll find that Babu is more than competent behind the sticks of a fighter. I've been imparting a lot of information to the cat.
They're not built for felines.
Design flaw, if you ask me. All right. Congratulations on your promotion to first officer, Betty.
Thanks. I'm gonna move out tomorrow then.
Well,
that's right. You lose your quarters.
Yeah, but now you have single quarters downstairs, so it's okay.
Up to you. I'm quite happy where I am, but
you're gonna want a ready room, I suspect.
It would be handy.
I'll move, no worries.
Fair enough. Right, now the next question is, what do we do? Do we ferry our wounded back to their point of origin, or do we go investigate these slavers?
I could take a fighter out and take a closer look.
According to the person we talked to, we more or less destroyed the pirates' fleet, what was left of it. So I don't like slavers.
As far as they know, it was all of them, yes.
And I think we should try and rescue what slaves are being captured there. That is my opinion. That is my opinion.
So, we let Astrid go out in the fighter to do some reconnaissance, and then, depending upon what she finds, we move in and rescue the slaves. Agreed?
Question, Sistag and Arnd, in both of you. The people we took aboard, can they serve as additional manpower for the rescue attempt?
We could see what their capabilities are and arm them with what we got to help if need be.
Most of them are medically well enough, the exception obviously being the two we've had to put in stasis for now. As for their capabilities, and Arndt raises up his hand and one of his fingers flips open and a sort of scalpel and a whirling dentist drill appears out of a second finger. Would you like me to question them and find out what their capabilities are?
You know what? I'll ask them. As first officer or something.
Good idea.
Very well.
I will also go with you, Asabeth, to see if any of them are capable of ground action.
Brilliant.
Good idea, Sistag. You're still our best trained soldier.
While they are occupied with that, I will endeavor to look at the ship sensors and make very damn sure that there's nothing else waiting around or appearing while we're busy.
Give us a little throw on that, sir.
Absolutely. course, the very last edge where I'm looking.
Of course it would be. What else would it be?
Let me see now. What do we need for this?
Now, ain't that a question?
Pretty good.
You are fairly confident that there's nobody in the area around you at the moment. However, you can pick up from the area where they told you that the pirate space station was some weird sort of long-range energy fluctuations.
What would that be, I wonder?
With your experience, your best guess at the moment would be perhaps a mining operation or of some sort.
Several small tugs, maybe mining stuff?
Well, normally that's what you would assume from a pirate operation, but the energy signature here is quite powerful, too strong, really, for what you would expect from this sort of rabble. Something more in the heavy freighter class.
Interesting. And they're moving about? It's not stationary in relation to each other, so it's not part of the same station?
Well, you did roll very high, so you're fairly certain that it's started a powering up routine.
Okay. On comms. We have a power startup at the station target. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's definitely going from inactive to active. So could be a heavy freighter moving out. We don't know. Either way, we might want to catch it.
I'll be on my way to see comms.
Right. And who was going to talk to the crew you rescued?
I was one that was going to talk to them, but on that, I'm going to go back and pilot this ship.
Yes, Mr. Sistag has his finger up.
During our battle, did anyone hear any type of SOS call from the pirate ship that we destroyed?
Nope.
I'll question the crew we have until you need me into the weapons systems. Of course, I don't know how good I'll do. I'll probably be more intimidating than anything. But if they had a Vesk on board, maybe not.
Very well. Right, going to the mess hall. Your ship now has a guest mess hall. You're not entirely certain where it came from, but it's not as cozy as the smaller dining table area that is set off aside for the crew. This is more in the 2 long tables and the bar type mess hall you would see on a Federation ship in another universe and another franchise, which we won't mention so we don't get DMCA'd. Most of their ship classes start with NC something. Anywho, they're sitting at one of the longer tables there, eating what ancient Terrans used to call a meatball footlong. which is scientifically proven to reduce stress reactions after combat. And drinking, whatever carbonated beverage they felt like with lots of sugar.
Under medical advice, that we are slowly but surely inducing a what is commonly referred to in ancient Terran as a food coma.
Yes. And a sugar high as well.
Mm.
But as the stag walks in, they all go straight up to parade rest.
Sit down.
Do you see? Stag sees several grins as they sit down exhaustedly. And the senior officer, whose name I've lost a note of, so I hope somebody else wrote that down.
Ensign Fugda.
Ensign Fuda, indeed. Thank you very much. Looks up at Stag and Commander Stag, how can we help you?
Not commander.
On a ship like this, if you're the security officer, you must at least be a commander. Maybe
I am
even
only a
colonel.
colonel. I am only a lance corporal.
Wow, what system are you from where they even have lance corporals on a warship like this? Doing anything else but mopping floors. But yes, what can we do for you?
I need to know what your crew that are what crew members are capable of. Do we have any that can help us in possible planetfall to rescue the slavers? Do we have people who command certain parts of the ship, help in the medical, help in sensors, even in weapons?
Well, our commanding officer and our combat medic are both in cryo at the moment. From what I understood from your medical droid, they won't be able to be resuscitated until we reach a space station with medical facilities. Out of us, there are 6 people who are void certified. We can probably serve as a diversion, but with the gear we have available, we're not a very efficient strike force.
And it's not nice to call you cannon fodder.
No. However, most of us are equipped with class 4 solar flare combat shields and handguns. So we can take an area and hold it almost indefinitely as long as we don't face any heavy weapons or any special ops. However, we're not good at the whole moving through a space station part. That's usually something the Marines handle. And the one platoon of Marines that's on the space station has their hands full on the space station.
I know about Marines and space stations.
We haven't received reinforcements or resupply from the corporation in almost 3 standard T years now.
So none really have planetfall combat training, other than possible security or defensive.
Well, sir, we're employed as a security force in system by Novastar, who, to be entirely honest, won't waste a single diasporan credit giving any equipment or training that they don't feel is the bare minimum to do the job. So, while we're void certified, we can get from one ship to another in close, if they're close enough to each other, and we can even breach a hull if we have to. We're not Marines, sir. We don't have the training, we don't have the equipment, and to be entirely honest, I think roughly half of us maybe have the motivation. But what kind of planetfall are you talking about, sir?
I know how to motivate people. Trust me. Who is your combat medic?
Our combat medic, it's a leader, is in cryo at the moment.
Would I recognize that as a Vesk name?
Yes.
Okay, the Vesk that's in stasis. What house is she from?
House? Oh yeah, she did mention something about West having houses, but she's been somewhat tight-lipped about her past since she joined the crew here. What would it be? 3.5 years ago? She came in on the last big supply shuttle. She replaced our previous combat medic who, after 11 years out on the station, had trouble staying sober enough to stand upright after lunch. And honestly, having been in here for 3.5 years myself, I can understand how that could happen to a man.
Understandable. So, what systems can your crew handle? Shipboard systems.
Well, the LAC was mostly just a small flying hull with too many guns bolted on compared to the armor, so we're very good at repair parties, fire extinguishing, maintaining old rust buckets that are about to fall apart, and there are a couple with gunnery training here as well.
When I have a chance, I will show them our systems and see if they can. I can't run all the systems, but we'll see if they can handle the systems on this ship.
Yeah, at the moment you can see that they are they're pretty beat up. Some of them are almost falling asleep where they're sitting. Their uniforms are full of soot. They smell like burning electrical wiring. The smell in the cafeteria is distinct, to say the least.
Ensign, get after your crew is eaten, get them. I believe we have quarters for them, and have them rest up.
Very well, sir.
Don't call me sir, please.
Very well, Lance Commander.
Not even Lance Commander. Just call me Sistag. I'll bare my teeth at that one.
Yeah, he grins and gives you a half-hearted salute.
I'll head back to the bridge to report to the captain and the first officer.
Yes, while this is going on, what is Arnd and Reese doing?
Reese is preoccupied with determining the size and the structure of the station, trying to get as much information as possible. Should we actually have to take it by force in some way or manner? So information is king. So I'm doing my best there. Also, Arnd, given that we have recently shifted captain, Kimo now taking that role, will you be doing the science officer role?
I don't know. I wasn't given instructions, but I'm sure additional duties can be negotiated.
I think you should speak with the captain about it because, as engineer, I cannot do the two things at the same time, given that I probably will need to run all over the ship repairing stuff.
Yes, you make a good point.
Science officer is an important task since ship sensors fall on the net. I'm doing literally two things at the same time now.
I'll contact the captain post haste and see what he has to say.
Thank you.
Arndt, in the meantime, has been running additional scans, checking the general health, and probably all sorts of prying data analysis on the status of these newcomers on the ship.
None of them are what Arn would call great health. They all suffer from smoke inhalation. There are various burns, in particular, where the infection risk is worrying, but also cuts and bruises from shrapnel. Not to mention the trauma of having their ship shot out from under them. A couple of fractured ribs, broken nose, loose teeth. One of them seems to be suffering from scurvy, which is almost unheard of in this day and age.
Right, well, with this analysis information, Arndt is heading down to the guest mess hall, passing Sestag on the way down. Everything okay, Sestag? How did the interrogation of the cannon fodder go?
I didn't interrogate them. I was asking questions. They're ready to fall off on their feet. They're very exhausted. I ordered them to quarters and get some sleep. Maybe you can add a little sedate to them so they can at least try and rest peacefully.
Ah, yeah, good idea. And he holds up one of his hands, and a giant syringe comes out, squirting out some kind of dodgy-looking serum.
Just enough to let them have a nice, relaxing sleep. Not OD on the stuff. Do you understand, Arndt?
Oh, good that you made that clear, Sestag. I had initially misinterpreted that they were fairly useless from your point of view, and therefore we could save ourselves supplies and oxygen.
No, they're not useless. We have some that can do gunnery train. They have some that can do a defense, possibly even ship defense, but they've been through a lot. They suffered from several types of small and minor injuries, and they're totally exhausted.
Right.
From a military point of view, they need rest.
Understood. So, just to be 100% clear, you want me to help all of them. There aren't any that need to be used for spare parts.
No, we can use them all as crew on this ship since it keeps on growing on us.
Right.
Just so they can have a relaxing, peaceful rest. Where when they wake up, they'll be a lot more capable of doing what we need them to do.
All right, understood. I shall go and tend to them and make them feel as comfortable and help them with their nourishment and to get some rest. None of them will be liquidated at this time. Arn turns, continues walking, and from some internal speaker mechanisms, he starts piping out Pirates of the Caribbean music.
Very well. Reese is getting a better read. The base, as they call it, is about 1.8 light minutes away from the Elbing at the moment, which with your current propulsion should be roughly 3 hours of travel. However, the more he's picking up on long-range scanners, the more apparent it is becoming that the base itself has been a large freighter. Hard to say what class it was originally. It has been rather heavily rebuilt. But from what On can or Reese can see at the moment, it has one central core of about 5 decks. Small core running perhaps 60 to 90 feet from end to end. And bolted onto that are 4 cargo hulls with what do you call the doors that lead out into space? Oh,
Airlocks.
airlock. Thank you very much. Very large airlocks at the end of each of them, where he is picking up he's picking up a jumble of life signs in each of these 4 compartments.
Possible prisoners. Mm-hmm.
And this thing is it's booting up. From what he can see, this boot up procedure should take at least 1.5 more hours. Estimated speed on that thing is hard to say, but definitely not going to be able to outrun the Elbing, even in her diminished state. One thing he can pick up is that this the main core of the ship at one point had a transponder identifying it as some sort of holographic casino / entertainment center. But it's old, at least 100 years out of date compared to modern freighters. Old, slow, and small compared to what a heavy freighter today would be.
Interesting. I feed all of this data into the system, available to anybody who uses guns, tactics, piloting, etc.
We should really try to get there before they get off the ground, because they have the advantage by the fact that they probably don't care about the slaves in those cargo holds.
Agreed.
I'm gonna start making the Elbing move a bit faster.
Well, even pushing it, they are definitely going to be off the ground when the Elbing arrives. Not a lot off the ground, but enough to have left, well, it's hard to say orbit, as they've been bolted onto an asteroid, but they will be flight capable and in transit wherever they're headed. But it'll probably be at least 2 hours off the closest point where they could jump the drift.
Okay, I'm gonna take us as close as I can.
Mr. Stag.
Because this is going over our comms on us, on our HUDs and stuff. In other words, I'm hearing what's going on, what Reese is passing on. Okay.
Yep.
Suggestion, Captain First Officer.
Go ahead, Stag.
Maybe you can get in with a fighter and disable their engines.
I could probably try that. Would the fighters be a lot quicker getting there?
Over the distance we're talking now, the fighters wouldn't have the endurance. The fighters at the moment have maybe an hour of flight time, and while they're faster than the Elbing in space combat, when it comes to actually hauling ass over any significant distance, the Elbing has the advantage on a fighter, having been made for inter-system travel, while the fighters are made for in-system dogfights.
Close range, yeah.
But as we get closer, we could launch enough to disable them so we could catch up faster. You see where I'm going at?
Yes, I see where you're coming from. If we can get within 15 minutes, you could take a fighter out and we could follow up with the ship.
Because I think if we use the weapon systems here to disable the engines, we may destroy the ship. Where I have to assume, not knowing the specs of the fighters, that what you have in there are small weapons, torpedo stuff that won't destroy big ships but damage them or take out other fighters.
Less powerful, yes.
And
Well,
this is just a suggestion.
I like it.
sounds good to me. All right, we'll move to 15 minutes from the freighter, and then Astrid, if you take out a fighter, I'll bring the Elbing in.
Mrs. Stag.
The lieutenant android, isn't she capable of flying fighters too?
Lieutenant Mato, I believe
Yes.
you have talked to her and come to the conclusion that she is fighter qualified.
We could use her as in the other fighter if need be, but again, that's at your discretion.
The question is, do I need a gunner?
The fighters are made for 2 people.
And they're probably too small for me.
No, the fighters, as with everything post-diaspora, are modular, so you can get anything from a Vesk to an Isoki just by moving the seat arrangements around and adjusting the seats.
I
Pretty
could
much
go as
after the
Sorry.
war with the bugs, both the Vesk and the inner sphere, I want to say, I know they're called something else in Starfinder, but it's the same thing. Basically, they saw the use in being able to have interchangeable crews if heavy losses were to occur in a coalition fleet.
Pact Worlds, Jim.
Pact Worlds, thank you. Inner sphere, Pact Worlds, tomato, except one of them has more mechs and the other has more aliens. On that note, I need to take a small break again, because I'm still at somewhat of a disadvantage, I'm afraid. So chat amongst yourselves, and I will be back as soon as I can.
Asterbeth, I could be your gunner.
Feel free. Who's going to take over your job at the Elbing?
Captain, you be the pilot at the time?
I can take the Elbing, yes.
The pilot can also fire at least 2 weapons.
I could probably operate the weapons. I'll need backup. And how would you be with the science station?
I would be willing to support in that role. We could say that it's for science. Yes.
Indeed. Reese, are you good with engineering?
Of course, that's my task.
And since the lieutenant wouldn't have a gunner, it would probably only be us going out then, Asterbeth.
Then she can take the guns on the Elbing.
She could also go into the weapon systems, correct?
Well, that's the plan then.
All right, Astrobeth, get us to within 15 minutes of that freighter, and let's see what we can do to disable it. We're after rescuing those people, not spilling them out into space.
Honest, Captain.
I'm gonna make sure to target paint the cargo holes red for your HUD.
Do we have stealth, Mr. Reese?
If you're talking to the Elbing, yes, we do. But we are burning quite hot at the moment to get to where we want to go. So
I know, but that's a possibility when we've taken the fighter out.
Considering the shape of that freighter, I don't know how their senses are capable right now. Can you see any type of weapon systems on this freighter?
Not so far. Still determining. If Arn could assist in the scans, I'll probably be able to do more details.
Shouldn't be a problem. I've taken the liberty of reprogramming everything on the scientific console to basically function underneath one giant red button.
That's fine. We can change it back later. Software configurable panels. Marvelous thing.
Susanna, we're going to need to have a pre-armed configuration saved hardpoint. Make a note of that.
So I'm gonna need a virus for my console in case he tries to fix it.
I can back up all of your consoles if you would like. There's also the option, you only have to ask, I can reset it all to default keybinds.
Please don't.
When we trimmed the two fighters, me and Kimo, we did do a system default set and hard copied it, so we should be good.
I've already saved the amended profile to the science station, so I assume you've done the same, Reese.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean, you never know what the crew on the bridge does. It's always going to be engineering that sorts everything out in the end. I mean,
very true.
That's why you never piss off the engineering crew.
Speaking of that, where is my daily cheese ration?
Here.
Ah, I knew I was missing something.
I have no idea if it's your daily one, but I always keep one in near my console in case. Kind of like the lieutenant keeping a coffee around for me.
Very, very true.
Suzanne, did you have the lieutenant report to the bridge?
I can't wait to get out in the fighter. I haven't flown one since the academy. Technically, I flew once or twice when I was posted as well, but yeah.
I never been in a fighter.
The best of luck to you two.
No, if it's a weapon system, I know how to handle weapon systems.
I'm just going to go down and check that the emergency transponder is active on your ship in full functioning state, just in case,
You do that. It's always prudent. There's also a cheese wheel under the seat for you.
Oh. Emergency cheese rations. I like this.
Emergency cheese ration, the most important rations of all.
And we get to add 3 more hash marks on the side of the hull for ships destroyed.
True. Oh, I better go find Babu. Probably in one of the cockpits.
Yeah, we don't want to take him, it with us.
I think I haven't determined the exact. It's not something I was trying to find out, actually. But if that is important, we can certainly endeavor to see.
Has it grown anymore?
Possibly.
How much?
Yeah, not that much. It still fits in the jungle gym, so I mean.
Yeah.
But if this ship keeps adapting to things, how will you know if it gets bigger? Because the jungle gym will be adapting to the size.
Point.
Sorry to interject.
At some point we'll have to have Arnd assess the ship's cat. Yes, Arnd.
Technically, it won't matter too much because I believe that Babu functions along the lines of all felines, in that if it fits, it sits.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we want it to not just fit in, say, the bridge.
I actually have the measurements for Babu fairly well calculated since I've been working on a slight side project for Babu's own safety.
That's good. It's very important to keep the ship cat happy.
And alive. I've heard tales regaled by some of the old memory tapes that Arnd has been researching about some kind of cat called Sam supposedly survived wet Navy stuff back in the old days.
That's right, Unsinkable Sam.
So in this case, I will have to provide the ship's cat with a vacuum suit of some kind. That is a challenge.
I'll work on an important enhancement to your quarters equipment, bit of decor. We'll say unbroadsideable babu.
That's fitting. That's fitting. I will also need your assistance with a assistance module for the cat in order to get into said spacesuit. I believe the term is unwilling assistance droid of some kind.
I see. A persuasion system. Understood.
It's something like that, in a gentle manner. No violent stuff. But I'm thinking that maybe Babu doesn't really like a spacesuit, so we'll have to see what we can do.
Sure. I'll get to work on that right after I've finished making these uniforms for the new crew members.
Did you finish the Hive virus scanner, by the way?
Sort of. I had to put it on hold for a short period. I was working on something special for former captain Estrabeth. It's a new form of thermal hot liquid container that also has a side placement arm capable of carrying up to 3 waffles concurrently.
That sounds extremely important. You must continue that and finish it.
Will you be taking on more projects for the new captain, maybe?
It's quite possible. I haven't had any direct obligations placed upon me yet, but I'm always willing to assist. Perhaps a shiny new hat would be appropriate. By the way, what do you think of the new uniforms for the... what was it Sishtag said not to call? Cannon fodder. No, we're not going to call them that. The new crew repair personnel. This is new uniforms I've been working on for them. And he holds up some sort of 3D printed uniforms like ship's crew stuff. They're all red shirts, of course. And they basically look like a variety of mini Transformers, Autobots, Decepticons, that kind of thing. But they all look like really terrible, cheap, like cosplay outfits that people might make. Just all spongy stuff and just really not very befitting of any crew uniform whatsoever.
If you ditch the filling and just go with the shirts and pants, I think they could do nicely.
All right, interesting.
Let the actual crew fill them.
I see. Yes, okay. I thought the padding might be... Oh, right, all right. Good. I'll make some adjustments. I think we can tentatively dub the new crew, give them... I think it will raise their morale if we give them a team name. So I was thinking Team Red Shirts.
I like it.
It'll work. They can be part of the engineering crew.
Sorry, interruption. They are really pushing their engines at 15% over safe limits, so we need to hustle or they will probably blow up.
Do you think they have picked us up? I take it we're not in stealth mode.
I would say that. We are not stealth in the current mode.
What's
Well,
distance
then
between
we'll
us and the
just have to hold ass.
Give it all she's got.
I'm going to familiarize the lieutenant with our HUD, and then I'm going to go to the fighter and familiarize myself with the weapon systems.
Very good, Stag.
Synopsis for GM. We have ascertained that the transponder aboard the fighters needs to be active in case of accidents, because we have 2 new rookies in them, as well as the emergency cheese needs to be transferred out of the emergency rations box underneath the pilot chair in the said fighter. And also, Babu will need a spacesuit. And we are currently trying to make some kind of drone to assist him with fitting that. That's about the most valued stuff we have to report from the conversation.
Also, our new crew members are the red shirt. We want them to build that team spirit, and we're going to give them uniforms with red shirts and black pants.
Mm-hmm.
And you are kind of muted.
Be aware that if we fire on those engines, they could explode.
Then I think perhaps we should stay on board here and threaten them with shooting and tell them to land, or we will destroy them all.
Diplomacy.
But what say they won't hesitate to jetson all the slaves out of the airlocks?
If we blow them up, they're going to die anyway.
You don't understand what I'm saying, though.
But what can we do for the slaves if they are blown out?
No tractor beam capability here, as far as I know.
We didn't have that, but have you checked since we got the new systems online?
Yes and no.
Even our fighters are not tracked. Are not. We got to be drawn in back into the ship, not tractor beam into the ship.
We do have huge arms on the Elbing, but they're not probably calibrated for grabbing non-vacuum suited beings and pulling them into airlock within the time limit.
Yes, they'd only have a couple of minutes at most.
I mean,
Who has the unnamed character that's joined, by the way?
Don't know.
Don't know. That might have come off of me when I was figuring out something, and I might have clicked it because I have for some unknown reason, I have an unnamed character in my file, and I don't know why it's there. Just like on the Red Lions, I got all these names in there. I have no idea why they're in my files.
Did anybody just get kicked?
negative.
It seems like I
System.
lost Bonte for some reason.
Yes.
My fantasy ground's closed.
Yeah, because I kicked the unnamed one when I tried to whisper them, it said not found. So I think Fancy Rounds had a bit of a hiccup where it identified Zistag as an unknown recipient. I mean, much as it would almost be flattering to be hacked by somebody, I do not believe we have the viewership to attract that class of troll yet.
Would hope not.
Well, let's hope Sistag connects properly again.
So we are hustling to catch up. Auxiliary power to engines?
Please.
You may try.
Suzanne?
Yes, Sistag.
Is there a way to adjust the missile's warhead to be variable time and explode not on contact but from a little distance to say, not contact exploding, but it kind of explode mid or close to an object where you're not actually hitting the object?
There is a way to do it, but current warheads on the missiles are not conducive to that sort of operation.
Including our fighters?
With fighter plasma torpedoes, let's see, what do we have on the fighters? What the heck? Oh, sorry about this. I gotta grab this phone real quick.
Another question for you, Suzanne.
Yes.
If we can't variable time the plasma torpedoes in the fighters, if we use our railgun onto the engines, would that risk the engines a possible major explosion, or it's not powerful enough to cause the explosion, but enough to knock out the engines?
Any damage to the engines would entail the risk of a energetic burst.
What are the percentage versus torpedo and railgun?
Torpedo estimated at 87.5%. Railgun currently estimated at 42.7%. Current running at max at current engine core output for the freighter for 4 or more hours estimated at 35%.
If they continue at this rate of speed, will they risk blowing up, destroying themselves?
Currently, should they continue, it is only a matter of time. Hours, maybe days.
Any suggestions, First Officer, Captain?
Run them down as fast as we can, I think. Tether that or let them go.
We can't let them go. Can we?
Not if we want to rescue those people, no.
Diplomacy then?
I have a question. Maybe this is something for me to do on my new station, but could we perhaps scan their vessel and find out whether we think they actually have more than a crew aboard, or perhaps we're chasing them for no need and they've left the people behind?
Good thinking, Band.
We have already scanned, and there are definitely life signs, a lot of life signs within the cargo holds.
Ah. Understood. I must have missed that moment whilst I was practicing my Jack Sparrow.
It can happen to the best of us.
What would you estimate the crew size on that freighter? Crew-wise, not total, just the crew.
Sorry, was that a question to me?
To you, engineering, science, or Suzanne?
The crew, well, depending on how much automation there is on that ship, or how much of their stations are still working order, I mean, it could be anywhere in the small 10 to 12 people, but it could also be a lot more. There's certainly room for them.
You thinking about boarding, Sistag?
If
We
we could
will
get
have
the
to.
other crew to hold the Elbing, and then we can infiltrate and board them and save as many people as we can. Could that be a possibility?
Problem is, we'd have to dock sooner or later with the ship because we can't transport them unless they are pre-equipped with vacuum suits.
Hmm.
So, tactical strike bridge, perhaps?
That's another choice. If we hit the bridge,
And take over the ship?
then we could possibly disable the engines from the bridge, then go compartment to secure the ship, and after securing the ship, transfer the crew that we receive from the small cutter onto that and fly this ship where it won't cause any engine problem to their home starbase. Because I don't think we would have the. What's the amount of people can you estimate that are on that ship at this time, Reese?
As I said, 10 to 12 possibly.
I'm talking about total, including all the people in the cargo holds and stuff.
Good question. GM, maximum number of prisoners?
The cargo holds are jumbled, so that makes it very difficult to say, but the 4 cargo holds put together could be anywhere between 100 and 400 people.
We don't have the space on this ship for that many people, so our best bet is to capture that ship and then fly that freighter to the starbase.
Well, then we have a job to do. What do we need to do to board it?
Get up close and dock.
Get up close and spacewalk.
I can get us close.
The spacewalk option is probably not as dangerous as it would be with a more agile vessel opposing us.
Hmm.
Well, if we could put people aboard from the spacewalk to clear the away, we could possibly bring the Elbing into dock and then transfer more people as needed.
How many spacesuits do we have? Can we get us on board?
We have the 2 that we used, Sistag and me, but we do have more, but they're basic survival suits, not armored.
Could we do something about that while I bring us closer?
Susanna, time to manufacture more spacesuits which are slightly more survivable.
Full suits will be out of the question. However, oxygen and that will fit the rebreathers of the, say, D-suits class worn by Estrobat are readily available as is.
Well, then that's accounted for.
So we can put at least 3 people aboard.
Remember that I
Well,
don't
oh,
require normal aspiration as other humanoids such as yourselves.
And
We
you
need
have a
at least
DC
one
too,
person.
don't you? We can leave the ship with the lieutenant and the new crew. The red shirt.
I don't think I would need a spacesuit being an android.
Correct.
Lieutenant may, because she has more, I believe you said biological parts.
Yeah, but I was thinking leaving the ship in her hands while we go. Leave her the red shirt and the Elbing and keep her back up. And then when we have control over the freighter, she can dock.
So who would be our assault force?
Us.
Us as in who?
You, me, Reese, Arnd, and Kimu.
Babu.
I don't think we get Babu into a spacesuit quickly enough, but it will definitely be the acting captain while we're gone.
Ah, very good. Makes sense. After all, Babu is
Small.
ranked above the medical officer, 3rd class. Mm-hmm.
See?
Small promotion for temporarily.
But we should definitely talk to the lieutenant before we decide this. But I think it's the best idea we have.
Oh, she's already on the bridge because I was showing her the weapon systems.
Yeah, she looks and turns turns to you and looks, not looks and turns. Well, she probably does that too, but yeah, it's a sound plan. I know I've seen that you have breaching tools available in engineering. I would want to take the ship in the entire way. The operation is too risky to change pilots in the middle of it.
I agree.
And I believe Captain Babu will be a commander of sufficient caliber for any unforeseen instances in the Elbing. And Babu goes, meow.
Perfect answer.
I assume Babu has a bed on the bridge so that in place of the captain's chair.
Babu has now grown to the size where Babu pretty much has a bed where Babu decides to have one. It's kind of like the question you had yesterday about what does a great ancient sea serpent eat? Anything it wants to.
So Babu will sit and sleep anywhere she wants or it wants to.
Yeah, Babu is now roughly 6 feet long and about 5 feet at the shoulder.
Yeah.
She's almost getting as big as me.
Big cat.
Permission to adjust the the console to Babu's keybinds.
Save the default set first.
Saving.
Permission granted.
Thank you. The keyboard now basically looks just like a big ball of string for it to chase around across the... because the last thing you want is a cat on your keyboard in an important situation.
So we'll go down to the hangar probably and see and get ready.
Well, if you don't have any assault pods or assault equipment, you would actually have to more or less fly the Elbing up under the freighter, then angle it in a way that you could actually be more or less picked up by the arms and placed onto the hull. There are other ways of doing it, but they would involve a lot of math and physics and angles and adjusting for relative speed. It might be safer, but it will definitely take a couple of hours to be able to do a space jump, where you first have to get the Elbing in front and at the right angle, and then jump and hope that the enemy doesn't change course while you're floating towards them.
Yeah, let's go for the fastest intercept.
Let's get ready then. The helm is yours.
Very well, ma'am.
Uh,
Yes.
Before leaving the bridge, Arnd will pause for just a split second or two, send a telepathic message to Lieutenant Marto, reminding her of two important things should we feel that we have been abandoned, or, should she want to make off with the ship. One, I am the only member of the crew aboard who has the combination to unlock the secret supply of catnip for Babu to keep him calm. And two, the ship self-defense protocols have been slightly adjusted by Arnd, in that should there be an event where Arnd has been unwillingly abandoned by said ship, all of the speaker systems will blare out Rick Astley's greatest hits at volume 11 forever, until such time as Arnd is returned to the ship.
Very well, I will keep that in mind. Best of luck to you, progenitor.
See you soon, granddaughter.
And as you're gathering, having put on your assault kits, I checked over, and all of you have gear that should give you at least 1 hour of viable space time, with the added oxygen tanks and rebreathers. You can see the hatch opening, and you see the rusty, grimy, filthy hull of the freighter. Sistag and Reese, I assume, have equipped themselves with the breaching tools that you have found in the hull, which consists of one very large laser cutter and one very large and very long adamantium-toothed chainsaw.
Absolutely. My mining jack has the necessary power plugins for these, and I can go a full day without worries.
Yes. So, as the chainsaw revs up and you start being moved by the grappling hooks towards the underside of the hull of the freighter, you can see the small picture of Lieutenant Mato grinning in the upper corner of your HUD as Motorhead's Killed by Death starts playing. And sadly, I think that is where we're going to have to cut it today, because I keep having to take 10-15 minutes breaks to run to the porcelain throne. So, thank you everybody for joining. We will be back next, or well, we may be live if we decide to, but we will definitely be back with another episode for you next Tuesday, and the last episode is uploading as we speak. Monday, yes. The other episode is uploading as we speak, so it is actually done. So the episode 4 of the Adventures of the Elbing will be up, and will have been up for a long time when you see this, but there should be another one up Tuesday, which should be tomorrow for me as I say this. Yes, these things happen when Shago gets all confused, like. But thank you all for following. I recommend you go over to Twitch TV/Grumbles the Dwarf and give him a like and subscribe. He does a lot of RP almost all day, every day of the week. He's been doing eco lately and having great success with that. But we also look forward to seeing the adventures of several other personas that he loves playing. You can find us live on Sundays and Tuesdays at Twitch TV/Pathfinding Adventures. Whether or not we take the Starfinder there is still under discussion, but we will get back to you on that. So for now, thank you all, and good night.
Good night, everyone.